Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown.
Peace and love, everybody. Welcome and come on in. I'm Niele Anderson, and we have a lot of headlines to jump through. And today we're going to be introducing a new segment that you're going to want to know all about.
How about that? Well, since our producer is not going to give us a cut this morning, we can jump right into the headlines. Obviously, we start with the sad news that the influential four-time Grammy-winning singer, songwriter, and producer D'Angelo has died at the age of 51. The cause of death is being reported as pancreatic cancer. And we know that D'Angelo was nothing short of an icon, DL.
Yeah, he was a self-taught musician and producer. And Kedar Massenberg, who discovered him, and Erica Badu, who kind of took Motown into a new direction and phase and genre of music, posted this on Instagram. He said, D'Angelo was one of the most talented and dedicated artists that I have ever witnessed. He said he inspired us every day to advance and nurture the movement of neo soul, influencing the entire R&B and hip hop culture at a time when Black music needed to push the envelope. And we know that he had a child with Angie Stone, who we lost earlier this year to a tragic car crash. And so just praying for his son, who released a statement yesterday. And just for all of us who love D'Angelo and his flavor, I know he was the soundtrack for me yesterday.
Yeah, and some of the hits, of course. How does it feel? Untitled is really the name of that song, right? How does it feel? Brown Sugar, Lady. You could name so many others. He had two,
And you
eh,
gave me.
two top five albums. And more than that, folks just love this guy when he performed live.
I think one of the things that we loved about D'Angelo when he came out was that he wasn't your traditional R&B singer. He wasn't doo-wopping and two-stepping.
Hmm.
He came with his cornrows and he had like that street flavor that us girls love. He was fine. Body was magnificent. And then the lyrics. He was a croner though. And he was a croner. The lyrics. He was reminiscent of old school, but his style and flavor represented the 90s and the times of the day. But the lyrics are undeniable, and they still not making songs like that right now.
I love how folks on the West Coast say Krona. We say crooner, they say Krona.
Yeah. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato.
uh, and they already have the AI videos out. Orange mentions that the AI videos of D'Angelo and Angie Stone are out of pocket. The family can't even mourn in peace. And we just talked about that recently with Dr. King's family and Robin Williams, the comedian. Their families were complaining about the AI images as well.
Yeah, it's just it's not cool. But even beyond the I think the outpour of what he contributed to the culture, for the culture, to Black culture, it's just a beautiful thing to see on your timeline. It's sad, but it's beautiful, especially with all the other junk that's flooding our timelines. To
Yeah.
celebrate just some good music, to see performances of him that we might have missed. And to be reminded, that video of Lady was the remix and the first time we were introduced to Erica Badu.
Right.
And Kedar Massenberg has this funny story how he had to keep D'Angelo away from Erica because he was like, not yet, buddy. But like Lauren Hill, Erica Badu,
Mm.
Questlove. I mean, just so much love. And sometimes it's sad because we forget how important some people are. And it's sometimes we remember them through death. And wishing Lauren Hill says she basically, in a nutshell, she wished she would have been able to give him his flowers while he was alive instead of in death.
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to our own Lauren Burke. Lauren Burke was the first to have this story, and she did what we don't see today. A lot of responsible journalism we don't see today. But she made sure to triple and quadruple check it. Others ran with it immediately, but she wanted to make sure that she had all the facts. But she was the very first with this information, and she didn't rush the story out. She wanted to make sure that she had all her eyes dotted. And so I want to just make sure that we know, people know that Lauren Burke again shines as one of those quintessential old school journalists. So big ups to our own Lauren Burke. She had a personal relationship with the family, and she waited out of respect to the family. So again, tip hat to Lauren. Lauren has brought so much to Black Press USA, and of course her own Black Virginia News. So good job, Lauren Burke.
Yeah, and a lot of people are reminding us that Richard Roundtree and Chadwick Boseman, they died to cancer, colon cancer and pancreatic cancer. And so, the other push is for Black men, please make sure that you get screened, that you get tested, because you never know, you know,
Yeah,
what's going on with
exactly.
your body unless you get checked.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. That's a great point. Not a good point. It's a great point. Folks, in other news, this morning, again, our condolences and shout outs go out to D'Angelo's family, his son, and everyone else, all of his loved ones. Here's something else that's happening, of course, in this crazy Trump clan world, as you say. Thousands upon thousands of leaked messages show leaders of young Republican groups align with Donald Trump, joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape in a private Telegram chat. This group, who has members throughout the country, worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They refer to Black people as monkeys and the watermelon people, and they mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide, and they praised Republicans who they believe, I should say, support slavery. That, folks, in a nutshell, is what you got with this administration.
Yeah, Rep. Hakeem Jeffrey says these are sick people, every single one of these races, and must be publicly exposed and held accountable. And Reverend Nujuma Smith out from Los Angeles said every HBCU president, she's saying, should get this list of names and run them off the campus. As we know, the Blexit tour is coming to HBCUs, and some of these individuals might be helping put it together. Although the face of these individuals will be Black, but I think she brings up a good point. These people need to be put on a list, not allowed
Mhm.
on HBCU campuses and really on PWI campuses. This should
Yeah.
not be tolerated.
Yeah, and it's again why when we hear folks talking about they are quote unquote foundational Black Americans, and they say that they're supporting this guy, and you saying you a foundational Black American? No, somebody's foundation landed on your head, and you have not recovered from that concussion, because this is bananas. This is absolutely bananas.
Yeah, Trump has allowed them to feel free to just do whatever they want. I know yesterday I posted a video of two white men apprehending a Latino. They had no uniforms, they had no badges, they were just white men with zip ties in their pocket apprehending a Latino man. And it's like, when did we get to this point? You know, why is he even allowed? Why are they even allowed to do that? No badge, no uniform, no identification, just two white men with zip ties in their pockets, picking up people and throwing them in unmarked cars.
Yeah,
That's where we're
100%.
at in this country right now.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of folks, so many videos, and kudos. I'm gonna say this: kudos to Don Lemon. Not that he needs any publicity from us, but kudos to Don Lemon. Don Lemon is dominating the coverage of this insane, illegal, unconstitutional ICE stuff that's going on throughout the country. He's doing a fantastic job of documenting all of this stuff. So big ups to Don Lemons on this.
For sure.
Wesley Lisi, a 53-year-old former NFL player who's black, says police held him and his daughter at gunpoint after mistaking him for a 19-year-old white shooting suspect. He has now filed a $1 million claim against the Mesa and Phoenix, Arizona police departments. He drove to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport to pick up his 26-year-old daughter, Jade, from a business trip. And as she stepped out with her luggage, officers suddenly ordered them to the ground with guns drawn. Body camera footage show that both father and daughter complied as police handcuffed them. According to the Atlanta Black Star, the police said that they were looking for a white man driving a white Mercedes Benz with temporary tags. They had the helicopters, Niele, and everything. And they put these two face down on the ground and handcuffed them. They did not fit the description.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of that. And you can't even say that that's racial profiling because the suspect was white. You, like, you can't even call that
It's like
racial
just
profiling.
because. It was
Yeah.
just because.
And I mean, that's what's happening. And I don't know how, but the white men are coming from the barns. They're coming from the trees in the back alleys of Alabama and Louisiana. And Trump and his clan are deputizing these people and giving them power to do that. And that is a very scary thing. Now, this might have been police officers, but I'm just saying where we are right now. It could be a police officer or not at this day
Right.
and time. If a white person feel, you know what who I thought about yesterday? I thought about Ahmaud Arbery.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I thought about if what happened to him happened in this day and time. No justice for him. Thank God that it happened in 2020 during a time where racial reckoning was happening. Now the money might not have been there, but the racial accountability was moving forward. And I thank
Right.
God that his mother has that accountability because what happened to him in 2020 is acceptable today. Think about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely right. That's a great point. Letitia James, New York's Attorney General, spoke at a campaign rally the other day for Zoran Mandani. It was her first public appearance since the Justice Department charged her with bank fraud. She, of course, received a standing ovation from thousands of supporters. It was held at the United Palace Theater in Washington Heights, New York, of course. She didn't mention Trump by name, but remained defiant. She says, I will not bow. She says, I will not break. I will not bend, and I will not capitulate, Niele. She said, I will not capitulate.
Everybody using that word, Stacy. I think you started something. Everybody uses that word now. Kamala Harris uses that word.
Kamala Harris used that word. Yep. She says, I will not give up and I will not give in. So she says, you come for me, you got to come through all of us. And you know what? That's the way it should be.
Right. I mean, even the National Bar Association released a statement supporting her. If you want to check it out, it's on their Instagram page. But the support is coming from the right organizations. Because we know we have a judicial system that is bending towards injustice. So it's good to see that and it's not the National Black Bar, it is the National Bar Association. That is huge. And so the support we need it. We need the support of the people.
The national, so it must be the American bar. The national bar is black. The American bar is the other is the white and black.
Okay, well
So,
then it's the National Bar Association.
okay,
so
it
it's
is
the black one. Yeah.
Oh boy, I was hoping that you had that correct. That it was the other one.
Well, the National Bar Association. That's huge.
That's huge. But what a statement! And so there you go, Niele. Shouldn't the American Bar Association come out as well?
For sure, 100%. I mean, they should, and they may have. They may have. You know, my algorithm is black, so you know they may have.
Too black.
My algorithm is black, so
only black folks allowed on her timeline.
No, that's not true. But I'm just saying the things that I am engaged with are, you know, mostly POC, people of color, and so.
If you ain't got a dashiki on, forget about it. You're not getting in the else party. The pledge the red, the
Um,
black, and the green, she says.
no, but yeah, but I think that it's important to see like all of the individuals. But there have been white lawmakers, there have been
Mhm.
individuals that are supporting what is happening to her. And I think that you're starting to see the resistance rise, even with these news organizations. Like yesterday, you had a network of mainstream news media telling the Department of War to go kick rocks,
Yep.
that we are not going to sign your pledge. And so I think with Letitia James and just what's happening, you're seeing a lot of people begin to push back on this administration, even some of the allies, because Fox News was one of the ones to sign off on that.
Yeah, yeah, that was interesting, right? Aquarius says, Neil, that you look pretty in blue.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
And switching back to the music industry, Michael Jackson built an empire the world still dances to, but his $2 billion legacy is now a battlefield. For MTO News, I don't usually quote them, but they were the first to report this, and now I see it in People, The Insider, and everywhere else. But his children, Michael's children, Prince, Paris, and BG, have sold half of his music catalog to the same Sony empire their father fought to escape. But more importantly, Paris Jackson, the King of Pop's daughter, has launched a attack on the estate as never seen before, and now they're in a full-on public battle. The estate says we've given her $65 million. She has come after them for fees that they paid out to other law firms for helping protect the image of Michael Jackson. But the bigger issue here, Niele, really, Michael dreamed about generational wealth, not generational war. And that generational wealth that Katherine Jackson and Joe Jackson started, that they built along with the
Mhm.
Jackson Five, is now pretty much in the hands of non-black folks. And his daughter appears to be, according to several fans that I saw on social media, and this is their words, uh, exerting her quote white privilege.
Well, at the end of the day, that was a choice that Michael Jackson made, and so I don't feel bad with what she's doing. He made that choice. He picked those
Mhm.
kids. He could have adopted or got some black babies, but he chose not to. Okay, those are full white kids. Not they're not mixed. They're not biracial.
I
That
forgot
is a
about
choice that Michael Jackson made. So I mean, I'm not gonna like be mad at Paris. Michael Jackson chose her. That's who he wanted to be his heir. But on the flip side, I just saw her last week in Paris with Janet Jackson, and they were all
it.
buddy buddy, love love.
Mhm.
So
The cameras were on.
I don't know what happens. Maybe they reconciled. I don't know, but they were together last week, and you can only go by what you see. So maybe she does have a point, because sometimes I remember you've talked about the estate and how they handle things. So maybe she has a point.
Well, here's the thing. This is where what I don't get, and like you said, I don't have the full story, but this is what I don't get. When Michael Jackson died, he was more than a $500 million in debt. Half a billion, folks. That estate was going through all of these claims there, and there's still claims against that estate on things that Michael allegedly did when he was alive,
Hmm.
and they are fighting them almost every day. However, and his image, according to everyone at that time, he had left not only that debt, but his value was placed at just $2,000. Now the estate has raked in about $3 billion, and she's
Hmm.
complaining about a couple of bills that amounted to $600,000 um, that they paid out to other attorneys who helped to fight claims against him, who helped to keep that estate sailing to where it's the biggest estate ever. It sounds like an ungrateful brat, if you ask me. That's what it sounds like.
Her daddy, his money. She can say what she want to say. That's the choice Michael Jackson made. And
Yeah,
so
well,
if we, I mean, there's no melon in none of them kids.
that's
And
listen.
that
That's
that is
Neil's
by
theme.
choice. but that is by choice.
It is by choice.
That
But don't
is
you think?
by choice.
But
And
don't you
so
think?
that's who he chose. So that's what is happening.
But don't you think that there is at least a part of Michael who would have loved to have seen that the people who got him there, his brothers, his family, because without Joseph and Catherine, without Jackie and Jermaine and the late Tito and Marlon, there would be no Michael. Don't you
Now,
think Michael recognized that and
Shonda
would have
is
wanted
saying,
to recognize?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, look at how he changed the skin. I don't know. And so Shonda says they're not full white, they're mulatto who can play both sides. Are they mulatto?
No, 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 no. Come on now. Who said that? Who said they're mulatto? Is mulatto like black?
Yeah, mulatto is black. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
see.
no.
I don't think maybe
Mm.
Blanket is the only one that you
Blanket is
might
the
have a
only one,
little
right? And I
drop of black.
think
Maybe.
I think Blanket's mom it was at least part Latino, if I remember correct.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well, I
so
see
that
that
would
brown. I
explain.
see the brown.
Yeah. But you
Aquarius
don't listen. Come on. Do you see any of that in
in
Paris and Prince?
Paris. No, not at all. Aquarius says African American children act the fool. Also, that is true. That is true. But we're not talking about them. Most of them is broke.
Well, this is the thing. We talk about generational wealth all the time, and again, you talk about somebody who has generated all of this money, all of this wealth that Paris, Prince, and BG Blanket could have 50 kids, and they 50 kids could each have 50 kids apiece, and they have 50,000 grandchildren, and they will still be multi-millionaires.
Yeah, I mean, and Michael Jackson even distanced himself in the end away from his family. And
Yeah,
I
long
mean,
before
this,
the end.
yeah, and so this was his family. This is what he chose. I can't get into that type. It's first of all, it's above my tax bracket, and you know, if that's what's happening with the estate, that's who Michael Jackson chose. We would have loved to see that coming from a Janet or a Latoya or a Rebbie. You know what I mean? But it's not. It's coming from what Michael Jackson chose. And so
Shonda,
there you have it.
you are misinformed, Shonda. Debbie Rowe is 1,000% white, and those Prince and Paris are her children. And the father is allegedly Dr. Arnie Klein. So
Oh
he's
yeah, I remember
100%.
him.
Yeah,
The milk
100%
doctor,
white.
right?
So
That's the milk
yes,
doctor,
that's
right?
the milk doctor. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So I don't know where you got that information, but I can tell you with no uncertainty that Debbie Rowe is the parents of Prince and Paris, and that the father is 1,000% like her. They not like us.
And on that note, let's talk
Yes.
about what is like us. Earlier, I told you that we're kicking off a new segment. Take a look.
If you're looking for a party, particularly a political party, to be your savior or to get 100% right, you can keep looking.
A lot of folks have this perception of the Democratic Party. Democrats are elitist, out of touch, don't know real folks, are more focused on the data than they are about actual people. It's a lot of our folks who starting to think that, and even though the policies on the other side are not helping our folks any better. So what can we do about, not just messaging, making sure people feel seen and heard?
I tell people all the time, I am a proud Democrat, but the Democratic Party didn't inform my views or my worldview or how I think about issues or even how I talk about issues. My experiences, my faith, my family, those inform my views, which led me to the party most in line with those views. But the party's not perfect, right? Like there's no institution that's man-made that's going to be perfect. So if you're looking for a party, particularly a political party, to be your savior or to get 100% right, you can keep looking. And the Republicans have figured that out, particularly the constituencies we know we're losing or we lost. We need more Latino men in the Democratic Party leading and speaking and being the face, particularly to speak to that community. We need more Black men in leadership of the Democratic Party, speaking and leading particularly. And that's not to discount the work of Black women who are at the base of the party. Like, they're amazing. But I think in part of the Black girl magic conversation, rightfully or wrongfully, I think a lot of dudes felt that what's there for me?
Right.
Like, oh, y'all, oh, they got it. What about me? Even though the second most reliable Democratic voting bloc behind Black women or Black men were just as much as the base.
I love it.
If you're looking,
I love it. I love it. Okay, joining us now is the host of Vision for Change. Welcome in, family, Michael Payton.
Good morning, family. How are y'all?
We're good. Welcome, welcome.
I'm
So
glad
that
to be here.
we're glad to have you here and kicking off this collaboration with Black Press USA. And that was the former mayor of Stockton, Michael Tubbs. And that conversation that you were having, I saw yesterday, Bakari Sellers and Andrew Gillum were having it too on Native Pod. And so I think that all of you Black men are speaking to a certain issue of how you feel in this Black girl magic era. So talk to us about more of your conversation you had with Michael.
Well, thank you, Niele, and thank you for y'all having me and bringing me into the family here at Black Press. And I'm telling you, we're very excited to launch this podcast. This conversation I'm having with Michael is the conversations, like you said, that a lot of Black men are having right now. A lot of Black men are having these conversations about what's in it for me. You know, Black men are the second most loyal voting bloc in the Democratic Party behind Black women. And for too long, the conversation is, you know, well, where are the jobs? Where are the opportunities? Where are our voice, even within the party? You know, so many times when you know, even in the inner circles, and I've been on the inside, I've been in these rooms a lot, and your voice sometimes gets drowned out or you get shut down because, you know, maybe you're not the flavor of the day. And I think a lot of brothers are feeling that. And I think that's why, rightfully or wrongfully, why you see a lot of folks kind of like, hey, I'm going to sit this one out, or I'm going to go explore what's going on over here. And I just think that we can't afford that. We just can't afford that as a country. We can't afford that. You know, as someone who, you know, has been voting a Democrat my entire adult life, because I believe that their policies are most in line with what the values of our community is, right? But if you're not allowing folks to have a voice, if you're not allowing folks to actually have I don't want to say a seat at the table, but like actually the seat that they've earned, the seat that we have respectfully that we warrant, because we are such a low voting bloc, the fact that we are organizers, the fact that we are the soul of this party, and I feel like we don't get our just due. So that conversation I had with former Mayor Tubbs, I think is a really timely one. And I think that we need to be having these conversations more out in the open.
Michael, one of our viewers, RNG, says that he left the Democratic Party in 2012, and he says, "No, I am not a Republican. Both sides pander to Black people during election time, but neither cares about day-to-day activities of Black people." So when you talk to someone who has that gripe, what's your response?
No, I can't say I don't understand. Now, thank you for not, you know, fully going over full MAGA or going to the Republican Party, right? We appreciate that. But I also understand the sentiments. And then that doesn't mean that you won't vote for Democrats or you can't, you know, it won't be still supportive. But it's at the same time, it's like if you're not going to, if you're not, I'll say this, you know, I'm from the Bay Area. Born and raised Oakland, California, went to school in San Francisco, now live here in LA, lived in New York, all these metropolitan cities, right? And when you look at what's happening right now in these cities, especially when it comes to Black folks, especially when it comes to Black men, think about the tech boom that happened in the, you know, 2000s into the 2010s. You look at Facebook, you look at Twitter, you look at, or X, whatever it's called. You look at all these tech companies out there. You don't see a lot of folks that look like you and me in those places unless we're sweeping the floor. You know, maybe it's one of us, but when you look at the board of directors, when you look at folks who are in positions to make decisions, you just don't see a lot of us. And then, you know, and then you look at how folks are getting priced out of their homes. You see how folks are getting priced out of where their families grew up and lived for generations. And, you know, you see folks, neighborhoods being gentrified. And you know, yeah, we do see our sisters, rightfully so. Black women are the most educated group. Black women are the most hardworking group in this country, and Black women are getting what they deserve in terms of the comeuppance that we've been seeing in this generation, and it's well deserved. But I think when Black men see, and I know a lot of brothers who are like me, college educated, um, try to play everything by the book, and and every time it's time to go get a job, it's sorry, some other candidate, or oh, you're just not the right fit, or and it's just those opportunities are open, don't feel as though they're opened up to us as much in this generation as they were as they are to some other folks. So I understand the sentiments of folks like, all these, liberal policies and all that. What is it doing for me? And I think it's time that we start, not going full MAGA, but at all, but definitely start demanding more for our vote.
I love that. And I think it's great that you started with Michael Tubbs, former mayor of Stockton, California. He did something unprecedented that helped a lot of cities across the country, launching the Guaranteed Income Program, which a lot of mayors across the country began to adapt while he was mayor. But now he's running for lieutenant governor. Did you talk to him about that? And what were some of his reasons for wanting to run for lieutenant governor of California?
Of course. Well, I've been knowing Michael now for almost a decade, from back when he was mayor of Stockton, California. And when I tell you there was a level of disruption, of innovation, and creativity that he brought to the office of mayor, um, he wants to bring that same fire to the office of lieutenant governor on a statewide level. As you said, Neil, he piloted a program called SEED, Stockton uh, Economic Empowerment Program. I hope I didn't get that wrong. But it basically was a basic income pilot that
Right.
now he's modeling across the country with his Mayors for Basic Income nonprofit that he started. So there's there's things that he's did in housing, things that he did around public safety with listen, we know who some of these shooters and some of who these folks who engage in some of this crime are. Let's actually, and rather than just lock them up, let's engage them. Let's figure out a way how we can, introduce them into society and help use them to help drive down some of this crime rather than just locking folks up and throwing away the key. So this brother has had a lot of innovative ideas and thoughts, and he's led on a major scale, and he wants to bring that, like I said, to the state of California. And I think we need it. I think we're in a point now where we're transitioning out of the current leadership. Gavin Newsom won't be able to run again in 2026, and there'll be a new crop of leaders coming up. And I think that Michael is exemplar of what that innovation and what that next generation of visionaries look like. And I just can't wait for more people to hear his story and hopefully give them their support.
So, what are some of the other things we can look forward to on your program?
Oh man, it's exciting. Like, we are trying not to have these BS conversations, right? I want this to feel like you're in the barbershop. I want this to feel like you're, if you're a gamer, you're in the chat and you're just talking to your homeboys, you're just talking to your friends. But we're having real talk, we're having real discussions, and we're talking to everyone from elected officials or former elected officials like Michael. Later on in the series, we have a great conversation coming up with the district attorney of San Francisco, Brooke Jenkins. And we're even talking to folks who are on the ground, community organizers, folks who are just folks in the community, small business owners. Like, we want to have a real conversation with real people from the top to the middle, everything in between. We want to talk to you and really start having these conversations in our community about what it is that we want, what we desire, what we need. What I don't want to do is go into the next election cycle, 2026, 2028, and like y'all said, folks are just pandering to our community. Folks are just doing the song and dance and the jive talk and trying to get our votes. But when that's over, it's like, all right, well, we're done with that. Now it's on to somebody else. I just had a conversation, and we'll air the episode. The next episode is actually with Hamilton Grant, who was a state legislator in the state of South Carolina, which we know is going to be a pivotal state in the primaries come 2028. And we're talking about what Black folks really want, and what, versus what the media say they want, or what the New York Times or whatever are saying that folks are looking for. And it's a very, very interesting conversation. So y'all have that to look forward to. And hopefully we just get people engaged in these conversations that ordinarily aren't engaged in these conversations.
Yeah, I love that it's centered in Black men. In Orange G, you can actually check it out right here on Black Press USA's YouTube channel. And so the first one drops today, right?
The first one drops today. It's up now on YouTube. It should be up on Black Press soon. But yeah, first episode with Michael Tubbs drops today. So I'm so excited. I cannot wait for y'all to start engaging with this. And again, I'll just say, it's my background as a filmmaker, my background as a storyteller. I'm all about trying to find ways to bring our community into these conversations that we're normally not involved in, or we normally kind of disengage in. So hopefully, we're going to keep growing with this show. I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep getting better. We're going to go into communities, but hopefully, this sparks some real dialogue in our community, and I'm just so excited.
Yeah, I love to see the Black man amplify. But you also have another project dropping today in the Black Network. Definitely want to talk about that, because you are centered in Black men, and I'm talking about the Supreme Truth, the story about Kenneth Supreme McGriff out of New York. Could you tell us, our viewers, about it, about the documentary?
Yeah. Thank you for that. So today the Supreme Truth drops everywhere. It's on in the Black Network. You can also see it on PrinceGMiller.com. Sorry, PrinceMillerNYC.com. Let me get that right. And it's exciting. I directed this piece. It's really a story about it's about justice. It's about really justice and truth. You don't have to agree or like Supreme. Supreme definitely is not. He'll be the first to admit that he's not an angel. He's not first to admit that he's not. He hasn't done everything correctly in life. But at the end of the day, this is someone who actually did do his time, who was trying to get out and do other things with his life. He easily could have been, what we see now as Tyler Perry, or in that space, because he was he has taken the connections that he had made. He was taking his name and now creating films and movies around, his life, and trying to show people the other way out, so they wouldn't have to do what he did. And, he never really got that chance fully, because as soon as he started, making those inroads into that world, I think that the powers that be didn't want to see that happen, because he was the one that got away. And so when you watch this doc, you'll see all the machinations that they went through to make sure this brother did not ever see the light of day again, even though what he was charged for is not even. I just have to let y'all watch it. Y'all will see, but it's a total miscarriage of justice. This brother was denied his constitutional right. And again, whether or not you agree with his lifestyle, his previous lifestyle or not, if you believe in justice, if you believe in truth, and you believe that this is supposed to be a fair game and folks are supposed to get a second chance, you should definitely watch The Supreme Truth. This is definitely a riveting tale into how the government works to stop particularly Black men when they think that we're getting a little too powerful.
Well, and the situation too, and I guess it'll be covered in the documentary too. One of the things that happened around the time that Supreme went to prison was that the young cop being killed in Queens, and they decided to change all the laws after that. Edward Byrne was the cop's name.
Yep. That was.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. So that whole thing happened in the 80s, and I think that's what kind of sparked everything. They wanted to pin that on somebody, and Preem was a part of that era. and it was like nobody from this era is getting away. You know, whether it's Fat Cat, Pappy Mason, all those guys, no one from this era is getting away, right? So he did his time in the 80s, early 90s, and 90s. He got out.
Mhm.
I think he probably went back in a little bit, but I think he, for the most part, was out by the time he got picked up again. He was working with Murder Inc. and Ja Rule, Irv Gotti, all those folks, Jay-Z. They all these folks were kind of helping him, turn his life around. He was out of the streets. He was out of the game. He was now trying to move into films and books and TV. But I just think that when you look at the evidence, look at the facts, the government just was not going to let this guy get away because he was a part of that era that, like you said, the Edward Burns and all that stuff that went down in the 80s. They were like, we can't let this one get away. And, they got him 8 life sentences later, on a RICO charge, even though there was no RICO enterprise. They locked him up on a testimony of someone who did not know this man at all and was making up stories, and they pinned a RICO charge on him based on a very, very, very weak witness. And like I said, miscarriage of justice, you will see.
And to be clear, Michael, when Michael says that they wasn't going to let him get away, he did time. He did his time. And what I think, Michael, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to be clear, what you're saying is that they wanted him punished forever.
100%. 100%. He did his time. I want to say he did it 10 years or so. And when he got out in the 90s, and he was investing in businesses and doing these other things, he was turning his life around. He did his time for what they had him on. So now they, when this whole thing went down, they tried to pin him on a RICO enterprise when there was no enterprise. Like they said that he was funding, for those who know the Murder Inc. story, when Irv and Chris Gotti were indicted by the government as well, it was really only because they were trying to get evidence on Supreme. The government was trying to get evidence on Supreme. And so they said, we're going to, give y'all brothers, 20 years if you don't give us information on Preem. And they were like, we don't have no information on Preem. We giving him money. And they were like, well, he funded Murder Inc. and he started Murder Inc. and he's funneling money through this record label to do all these nefarious criminal acts. And it was like, all that turned out to be completely false. But they still found a way to get this man, like I said, on a RICO charge, which is, again, just watch the doc and you'll see that there was no RICO enterprise. There was no Supreme team anymore in the 2000s when they got him. It was just all, it's really really interesting how folks choose to pursue justice when they're really out for you. So Supreme is hoping that this show will shed some light on his case and just on the entire, how the system works in general. Fake news did not just start with the Trump administration. We'll say that.
Great point. And love how you're curating stories of Black men from Michael Tubbs to Supreme. And both have dropped today. So be sure to check out Vision for Change, streaming on BlackPressUSA. And you can also check out The Supreme Truth, which is streaming on In the Black Network. And you'll be coming back from time to time when you're dropping these episodes to give us a teaser for our Let It Be Known family, right?
Absolutely. As long as y'all will have me, I will be up early and I'll be giving y'all some of that good game. And I really appreciate y'all. And I'd also just want to shout out, just in general, Black Press, and I love everything that y'all are doing. Our voices right now are so important. It's so important for us to have our own ecosystem of information. And I love what y'all doing. I love that y'all are giving a platform to storytellers like myself to get some of these stories out, because Lord knows that these other folks ain't trying to give us these platforms right now. So we really appreciate you.
All right. Peace and love, Michael, and talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks
All right.
a lot.
All right. So not only do you guys have a Vision of Change to watch on the Black Press USA's channel, and of course, Supreme, but there's something else that you should be watching today. And I'm talking about the Supreme Court will hear a case that could undo the voting rights laws that could potentially wipe out Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which requires protection of minority voting power, which could wipe out half of the Congressional Black Caucus. We've been talking about that, but today is the day. And you have organizations like the NAACP, Black Voters Matter. They are all in Washington, D.C. at the Supreme Court because this case, and as we look at what's happening in North Carolina, Texas, Indiana, where we see California trying to counter that, this case directly impacts that, and it will either help Republicans or sustain the little bit of power that we have.
It's going to be interesting. Oh, Uncle Clarence is going to be, I'm sure, dancing his jig.
What'd you say? He gonna be tap dancing.
He's going to be tap dancing. No question about it.
Cooning and booning. All right. And then this is an interesting story that we have to really be cautious about truth and fake news. Now, ICE and Homeland Security is saying the Mexican cartel has put a bounty on their heads. And they're claiming that the cartel is offering $2,000 for intelligence gathering, between $5 to $10K for assault, and $50K for the assassination of high-ranking officials. Now, this is according to ABC News. And they're also saying that Chicago gangs are also looking for ICE agents. And so this is an interesting story. We know that the Trump clan lies. We know that they put out misinformation, but for ABC News to be reporting this is something to pay attention to because it gives them a certain, it gives them an extra power to say
legitimacy, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like you on this. I'm skeptical.
I'm very skeptical about it. I'm very skeptical. I talked to a couple of people out of Chicago yesterday, and they said that is floating around in the city of Chicago. And so, you know, when you go to local news, certain stories are more amplified because it's hyper local. And so this is a conversation that is happening in the Chicago area about the cartel and the gangs.
Okay.
So be on the lookout for that. And last but not least, we're going to end on a high note. Solange Knowles, sister of Beyonce, but has built a name in her own right. She can now add Professor Knowles or Professor Solange. As USC broke the news yesterday that she will serve as the first ever scholar in residence at his Thornton School of Music. I mean, it was trending on everything yesterday. The course doesn't start until 2027, but she will be doing some things on the USC campus as she prepares to be Professor Solange.
Professor. Is that right? Wow, that's awesome. A 3-year it's a 3-year teaching residency, huh?
Yeah, I mean, to start, right? To start, who knows where to go? And we know her father is a professor at HBCU in Houston, Texas Southern. And so, you know, she's following in her father's footsteps, taking her career and all of the things that she's learned in the music industry and imparting it to a younger generation. So I think that's pretty dope. Who knows? Maybe she'll have her sister pop up or her brother-in-law.
Yeah, I'm surprised she committed to 3 years with her career, but that's great. Greer's going to say something.
Well, I just wanted to share another bit of news about Solange that she did, a project that she launched recently. And that's with all this book banning, this a program that allows you to order or rare books about Black stories. It's free of cost, and you just return it. I think that's just a wonderful thing, right? To just books are being banned, and I'm gonna just say that Matthew and they mama they did right with Beyonce and Solange. Because when it comes to advocating for our people, these two women, they have put it all on the line, and they don't, you know what I mean? And whatever happens, they put it all on the line. So Solange is, I love Beyonce, but Solange is probably, one of my favorite. I love Beyonce. She's earned that respect.
For sure.
But Solange, that's my NINJ.
Yeah, she definitely
But you
makes movement music.
but and therein again is it underscores big time m- uh, my and many other black men's issues with the Stephen A. Smith, because this is my point. Beyonce, nobody has a bigger platform than Beyonce. Solange has a huge platform. They're using it for good. Stephen is using his platform to tear black women down. And you got these two amazing black women using their huge platform for good.
Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe Michael can get Matthew Knowles on his podcast so that we can hear that story. I know Carlos King just recently interviewed him, and he was dropping some jewels about in stories about being
Mhm.
their manager and almost losing everything. But when, to your point, like talking about the stories and having these conversations and hearing black men, because it has for the past 4 years been the year of the black woman. You know, when we look at politics, when we look at culture, you know, when we look at the concept of black girl magic, you know, and black women lead coming out of higher heights.
Mhm.
And so it's good to hear from you, black men, the stories, how you're still committed to community, to fatherhood, to marriage, to brotherhood, and to protecting your sisters and protecting us. And so I'm really excited to hear more from, you know, black men from across the country. Excited.
She's gonna reach back out to Matthew and perhaps Solange as well. So let's see if they can find some time in their schedules. Hopefully they'll be able to do that. That'll be nice.
Mhm.
As you mentioned, we had Matthew on before, so I'm pretty sure he
Oh yeah, he's
enjoyed
very
his
easy to get.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. He is.
he enjoyed his experience, so we'll give him an even better experience. How about that? He's a friend of the show, Greer says, so very good. All right, so some Black history. On this date in 1966, y'all, the the Black Panther Party was co-founded by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale in Oakland, California. And Michael just mentioned he's from Oakland, so there you go.
Yeah, and on this day, a little Great Balls of Fire, Little Richard recorded his rock and roll classic "Good Golly Miss Molly" in 1956. So on this day, you know, he was in the studio recording Black music history.
How you say great balls of
Wait, did he sing that song too?
no.
Oh, Chuck Berry sung "Great Balls of Fire." Who
No,
sung "Great
Jerry
Balls of
Lee
Fire"?
Lewis. Jerry Lee
Oh,
Lewis. And it's
oh,
but it's funny because in the movie about Jerry Lee Lewis's life, he and Little Richard got into a beef about who should come on first, who should headline.
mhm.
And so it was unanimous that Little Richard was the show. He was the prime act, and so that means that Jerry Lee goes first. He performed "Great Balls of Fire" and he lit the piano on fire, so Little Richard couldn't play that particular piano. So
Oh,
literally
that is
poured gasoline on.
hilarious. Okay,
Yeah,
well, that's why I said, look, that's why I said
yep,
it.
exactly. Well, that's
I
what
knew
came
it
to
was
my
some type of
mind.
correlation between the two.
Oh, Neil, you shake my nerves and you rattle my brain.
Oh, that's a lyric from the
That's
song.
that's it. All right, folks. Our black-owned newspaper of the day is Greater Diversity News. It's in North Carolina, and it is a certified African American owned and operated business that is structured to provide business and economic opportunities through its monthly print publication and 3 weekly e-news editions and its websites, greaterdiversity.com and www.nbsm.greaterdiversity.com. So check out Greater Diversity News. And you don't have to be in North Carolina to check it out. Go on their website, greaterdiversity.com.
Yeah, you guys, and let's be on the lookout for what's happening at the Supreme Court today. Very important to the Black community. And of course, you can keep up with that story at BlackPressUSA.com, along with anything that is impacting and inspiring the Black experience.
Absolutely. And
Tutti Frutti, Tutti Frutti.
that,
Dr. Marilyn says, Tutti Frutti.
yes, that's his song. That's Little Richard. He said, he said nobody ever gave him nothing. Remember, he was at the awards and he told everybody to
Mhm.
shut up.
Is he
They
still?
found
Wait,
no,
is he
no,
still? He's dead. Okay.
he passed away, but they did finally honor him before he died. So at the Grammys, so good for Little Richard. He was
Yes, good for him.
quite the entertainer. Wow. And somebody else, we talked about Michael Jackson earlier. Somebody else that Michael pulled from was Little Richard. And Michael openly talked about that. Little Richard, James Brown, folks he pulled from, folks Prince pulled from. These are the originators, the Little Richards and Chuck
Chuck
Berry's. Yep,
Berry's. Mm-hmm.
yep. So we not forget, because as Greer brought out with Solange, with those books, these are the things that we have to continue to be reminded of.
For sure.
So, folks, we will remind you that we are back on tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. We'll see you tomorrow. And check out Michael later today.